Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of the Tech Jobber podcast. We're the only tech podcast with a professional wrestling theme. The only one, I'll tell you. So my name is Schwenk. I am the Tech Jobber. And when I made this podcast, I wanted to interview cool people in tech. This man is the first person I thought of, actually. He is Bruce Wayne. He's a project manager in tech during the day, and at night he is the co-owner, COO of one of the most popular apps in Miami right now, Tabler. So we have Ali on the show.
Chris, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great. I appreciate the intro. Bruce Wayne was an interesting comment.
Yes. He lives a dual life.
Mysterious.
So we have a lot to cover because I want to talk about your life and all the things you're up to, the real estate investing, the biohacking. He has a supercar that he rents out as well, so we can get into all that. And as far as cool people in tech, he was the first person I thought of. So, Ali, why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got to the tech space and kind of like your upbringing?
Absolutely. So, born and raised in New York, immigrant parents. So I was raised in an environment where, my father came to the United States, didn't have much, cab driver in New York City. And so, when you come from immigrant parents, you can understand the discipline and really truly value money, right? Because you don't come from an environment that, you're just given everything. You have to work hard for it. And so at a young age, I really immediately noticed that, I was born in Jamaica, Queens, back in '96. I'm 27 right now. And, as we're all aware, back in '96, Jamaica, Queens was not the safest neighborhood. So I have 3 siblings. Now they're all married and have kids. But it really showed me that, you always have to just be cognizant of your environments and really, you never saw wealth, right? We're here living in Miami and it's all, sunshine and good weather and everyone's driving flashy cars making money, but that's not how it always is. So I guess, I was born in Queens, raised in Long Island. And I believe that's where sort of my work ethic comes from. Is I have to be thankful for my parents because as growing up with a father who was an entrepreneur, I always saw the struggles of how he was able to manage stress. And so initially he always just disciplined myself and my brother as well. And that's sort of where I really got exposed to tech. My brother had a computer repair shop. He was dealing with clients, cell phone repairs and computer repair and surveillance installation. And my brother and my father would just always force me to go and work at my brother's computer shop. And coming out of high school, I would even middle school, high school, I would come right after school and go directly to the computer repair shop. And I didn't want to work. I wanted to hang out with my friends, play basketball, and do the fun things, hanging out with friends. But that was not valuable for my family. And so my father just made me go to the shop, learn how to break computers apart, put them back together, deal with clients. That's something that I'm very thankful for. So, I started off pretty young, working with a lot of different computers. But during that time in high school was actually my first sort of side hustle, entrepreneur side gig, where I had contacts with a few different suppliers from DHgate and Alibaba.
Ooh.
And essentially what I was doing, this was back in 2012, I was purchasing software keys such as Microsoft Office, McAfee, Norton Antivirus, and it was just specifically licensed keys, OEM keys. And I would resell them on eBay, Amazon, and my margins were incredible, right? So I was purchasing these software keys anywhere between $10 to $40 and reselling them for $100 and up.
Wow.
And I remember sitting in class, had my BlackBerry open, and I changed the ringtone to the cha-ching sound every time a PayPal invoice I received some payment.
How did you even come across that knowledge in high school?
So my brother was at the computer repair shop. He had to purchase a lot of these softwares, and for a lot of the clients coming in the door. And so I already had an interest in the online scene at a young age. At a young age, I was provided a laptop, and this is what I value. I think it's really important for kids to have the technology, but also ensure that they have the social element part of it too. But leveraging that technology for the educational side of things, right? So at a young age, I was exposed to technology, and now my brother was purchasing these keys. But then I thought to myself, I was like, wait, we should definitely sell this on eBay and Amazon. And so my profits were amazing. I was making a little over $1,000 a day in high school, BlackBerry just ringing, and I was super excited. So that's where sort of the entrepreneurship sort of rose, and it gave me a great opportunity to get my foot in the door.
So you were kind of what these teachers deal with now, where you have all these kids doing whatever Andrew Tate's course and other courses, and then they have a teacher making $50K, and they're like, what the hell do you know? I made that last week. So you were kind of the first wave of those type of kids, I feel like.
It was definitely an interesting side, and I didn't inform how much money I was making to my parents, right? I bought my Subaru Legacy, 2010 Subaru Legacy back in high school. And so it was a really fulfilling accomplishment. But then the market got saturated. I got ties cut, and then I moved on to college and had another gig. So
sure. Where'd you go to school?
I went to school in University of Albany, upstate New York.
Okay.
I had pretty strict religious parents, and I was one of the 4 siblings, kids that had the opportunity to go away. And now my parents didn't want me to go away; they wanted me to stay at home. But I argued with them. I said, "I'm taking loans out under my name. You don't have the right to." And my parents, I'm still thankful for this day, and they also see that I really worked my ass off. Still, I took the loans out and cash out under my name, and still paying those back, but at the minimum payment because the interest rates are really low.
Right.
And so I'm investing the rest of the money.
Yeah, of course.
So.
Okay, so when did you get out of Albany?
I graduated in 2018.
Okay.
And so I guess that sort of it was an interesting time because in 2017 I began my first internship in tech. So I was applying for a lot of jobs, and the one sort of internship I got was from MITRE. MITRE is what they call FFRDC, a federally funded research data center, and it's a government contracting company based out of McLean, Virginia. And so essentially, what's nice about this is that they had a big internship program where they sponsored moving all their interns to the city, and then I believe it was about $30 an hour for that internship, which as a college student, I was like, shit, I'm rich.
That's big time in college.
Yeah, so it funded a lot of the parties while joining fraternity.
Yeah. You give it right back to the bars, but that's really good money for that.
It was. So it was a really good introduction, I guess, into the government contracting realm myself.
Yeah. And so did the internship there. You eventually end up in government contracting?
I did, yes. So after that internship, I worked in another healthcare internship in Albany, but then realized that I didn't really like that. So I graduated college in 2018, and then I was at a point where, okay, now it's time to apply for jobs. And that's where I came at a pretty low in my life because I was in Bethesda, Maryland. Sleeping on my friend's couch, and I have to shout out Vic and Rafe, 2 of my closest friends that are now a general surgeon and a radiologist.
Wow. Okay.
And these guys were killing it, gym routine and straight to the books, and then we would party on the weekends, but everything was very disciplined. And they both are in the military, so they had that disciplined schedule, and I was sleeping on their couch. They just housed me for a bit, and I had $1,000 left in my pocket. I was like, it's now or never. I either move back with my parents, and like I said, I don't come from a wealthy upbringing, so it'd be a very big disappointment to go back with my parents. But I had day and night. I think it was like 12 hours a day on front of a computer. I had eye bags, and I was applying for jobs, coding at the same time, really trying to just nail interviews, and I would just get continuous denials after denials. And I had internships under my belt, so I was just really like, what's going on? But then luckily, I received an opportunity to do government contracting with Deloitte, Big Four consulting firm.
Okay. Yeah.
The hard work paid off, and this kicked off sort of my series with Deloitte.
They said coding. What were you coding in?
So my background, a funny story about this is that I didn't really grow up with any mentors, I'd say. I was in upstate New York for a bit, and my parents were in a religious organization, many would call a cult, and now they're not in it, but it wasn't a terrible sort of cult to just taught good practices, but psychologically, they would try to keep you in their practice. And so in that cult, there was a guy who pulled up with an Audi A9, he had a nice car, and I'm like, what are you doing, tech? And he told me back then, he's like, go into big data. He's like, go big data, and he actually ended up exiting his company. He sold his company called iParcel to UPS.
Yeah.
And he was the founder of that company, and so
wow, okay.
That guy has a whole another story to him, but nonetheless, that's when I started getting to data science, and that's what my internship with MITRE was, data science. And so my background is Python. Specifically, I was more on the natural language processing side of things. And so it was a lot of the initially data grunting stuff, right? Data transformation, cleansing scripts, and then you do the predictive modeling. But then I found out that I really enjoyed the data visualization side of things. Power BI, Tableau, shout out to Tableau. And I really like the sexy data viz. And so that's what I started doing with Deloitte. My first job with Deloitte, it was interesting. I was working with Navy pharmacies, and such a fun job. This specific contract I was working with Navy pharmacies where every month for the past year and a half, I would travel to a new city, a new country, and all paid expenses through Deloitte. And essentially, I would go to these Navy pharmacies, and we implemented a software that predicts how many medications a pharmacy should have in stock.
Wow.
And so we would essentially take their data of the medications dispensed to the medications that was purchased, and then use the analytical tool, machine learning algorithm to actually predict, how many medications we should have for XYZ medication.
Yeah. And real quick, so going back to the Python part, did you learn that on your own? Did you take a course? Was that kind of coursework in college? How did you get that?
Absolutely. So I remember in undergrad, I would hustle on Udemy. Udemy was my best friend, and I haven't been on Udemy in a while, so I can't boast about them now. And I'm sure there's still a great platform to learn. But there was a lot of courses on Udemy that, specifically for SQL, Python, were my two courses that I was just day and night grinding through. And I would say that University of Albany had a really good program for informatics, where I had a concentration in data analytics.
Okay.
So those, Udemy, Udacity was also a good program as well, YouTube, and I would just be disciplined on that.
So basically self-taught.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
that's right.
And I mean, to this day, I have just 200 to 300K Python developer jobs that there's just no one to fill. It's crazy. And you look at someone who just self-taught all the Python skills.
It's not easy, right? And to be a data scientist, you have multiple components, right? You have the component of being a Python developer to cleanse the data, and then you have the machine learning engineer who actually does the predictive modeling and the analytics side of things. But then you have also the BI side of things, right? The business intelligence, where you can do the data visualizations and do all those sexy graphs and everything. And then you have the project manager who can actually facilitate the meetings with the stakeholders and really present all of the analytical solutions and really communicate that, articulate that really well.
So how did you transition into project management work?
So Deloitte was a great start. I was an analyst grunt, and that first job was a little over $70,000 I was making. And it was great. I went from $1,000 to cash.
They're probably billing $300 an hour for his 70K, but that
100.
Yeah. It's like with the Big Four and really big shops. Sometimes I'll say like, well, listen, my prices are way better. You're paying Deloitte $300 an hour. I could do this at $100. They're like, yeah, but if things get screwed up, I went to Deloitte, not you. And
Yes.
I'm like, okay, well, So you're covering your ass, really. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And something that, and this is when I was living in DC. So federal contractors, specifically this industry, these federal contractors are paid a really good rate, but the companies are paid substantially more, because the thing is that our tax dollars go into government contractors, and these contracts get funded so much where they have a specific burn rate and they need to burn that capital. Otherwise, the funding is going to get cut.
Right.
So I think it's backwards. I think, government contractors in general should get paid less to some extent. It's a very controversial statement, but I've been in this industry for many years now. I've seen scenarios where they're just like, yeah, we have over $600,000 to deploy, figure it out. Like, let's see where we can burn this capital. And and there's been so many projects where literally after I leave, I call up my coworkers and they're like, oh yeah, that project's done. Like, it's not even active anymore. I'm like, wow, they just spent millions of dollars.
They just wasted basically our money.
Yeah, no, for sure. And nothing against it, but it's just, I think that there should definitely be some sort of reorganization and really, I guess, audit some of the cash and funding and see if it's worth it.
Yeah, because from a staffing perspective, I really do mostly commercial, but when you hear about the government side, you're like, well, there's the prime, then the sub, then so basically all these people are eating off the tax dollars, and then eventually it gets to you.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's all these layers of companies in between that really don't have anything to do. I mean, it's you doing the work, and there's 5 companies in between you and the federal government just eating away. So
definitely,
when you wonder where your tax dollars go, that's where they go.
It is that's the reality of it. What's really interesting is that this is why I'm so thankful that I have my tech entrepreneur side, is because I've found the most valuable thing is product market fit, and validating product market fit is so essential. But a lot of these government contracting companies will create a product not even knowing that it's validated product market fit, and you would think that the client would use it, but they're not.
Right.
And so now you just spent millions of dollars on a product, and it's collecting webs. So it's no one's using it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so let's talk. Let's talk about where you are now. What's the day to day?
Should we hop to next gig?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's go. All right. So Deloitte, and then what happened after that?
So while I was at Deloitte, I actually this is sort of, I think with all my jobs that I've had, I've always had some sort of side hustle. Because the corporate route is amazing for stable cash coming in, the safe route, but I always knew that I don't want to be working for someone. I can see myself, coming from my parents, right? I can definitely see myself leading sort of a company. So while I was at Deloitte, I had a digital marketing agency, and I'm sure a lot of people have gone through the Tai Lopez courses, the SMMA gurus, and hey, I was part of it, and I think from college I was doing the Udemy classes, but then while I was at Deloitte, after hours I was doing these SMMA courses, and it really got me into the realm of going on Upwork, ensuring that these people know how to run ads successfully, and then I would do the outreach to actually find some of these clients, and so. Living in DC, I ended up signing a bunch of contracts. I had a 2-floor office in DC that had about 12 doctors' offices, and I signed them all at once, and I was running ads for them. It was great, but just sustaining that was very challenging.
Sure.
And yeah, it really taught me how to be a multifaceted entrepreneur, right? On the biz dev side, but also a project manager, because I was leading a bunch of developers out in India to do the client delivery.
Yeah, so basically your day job, the skills you're learning there have all led to all the side hustles, all the entrepreneurship. You've taken those skills and just basically enhanced all of your side endeavors, right?
Definitely, yep. So I guess, after a few years, I hopped over to Booz Allen Hamilton, and it's it's actually one of the largest government consulting companies out in the US right now. And so Booz Allen Hamilton was a great company to work for. I actually got to say, between all my corporate jobs, they really teach you how to speak to clients. They have their own vocabulary. It's honestly almost like a cult, because the way that they teach you what to say, what not to say, how you even present your slide deck. There's how organizational structure of the way to do things. It's really impactful. So I moved on to Booz Allen Hamilton, where That was very interesting. I worked with a lot of high-level government clients. I was going to the Pentagon, which is pretty cool. I obtained my security clearance initially with Deloitte, but I got to really use it at the Pentagon, and I had the opportunity to brief the Secretary of Defense, Donovan, right before he got fired. So pretty impactful project I was working on there. But now, while I was at Booz Allen Hamilton, again, I was grunting as a developer, and so I had a very micromanaging manager, and he just would literally keep tabs on me for every hour.
Right.
And this was the era of COVID. So COVID kicked in after like 6 months of starting that job. The world went remote, and then he just was just up my ass over everything. But during that time, I had finished off my digital marketing agency. It was just way too much of a struggle, and that's where I started working with this startup called Keys for Dating.
Keys for Dating, okay. Wow.
Keys for Dating. It was essentially really cool way how I got started with this tech startup. So I was scrolling on Instagram, received ads for this software called Keys for Dating. It's actually a plugin for your keyboard, and this was back in 2019. Super cool. What they did was I signed up for their beta, and then about a month later, I received an email, and it was saying, "Hey Ali, I saw you signed up for our startup. Would love for you to beta test this. P.S. How do you like living in Trout Creek, New York?" And that was very strange for me because for 1 year, I moved upstate New York. I was in upstate New York for 4 years when I went to Albany, but 1 year specifically, I was at my parents' house upstate, and Trout Creek is such a small city, such a small fact. I'm like, how the fuck does someone know about this?
Right.
I found out that they used the email extension Superhuman. And if anyone's familiar with Superhuman, it's an email sort of plugin for Gmail that scrapes the internet, understands your specific leads, and then it creates a curated message from them based off of what they found on the internet. So somewhere, I had a residential address at Trout Creek, and then it curated that, and that's what got me to respond to Taylor, actually.
Yeah.
And
So Keys for Dating, like, what exactly was it?
So, so many startups in the market. I always do my due diligence before spending a lot of time on anything. And so Keys for Dating was an app, and it's still out in the market right now, where they had access to GPT-3 in beta stages when no one heard about GPT-3. That's what intrigued me the most. They had a license key to that. And so it's a keyboard plugin that has specific prompts, and it's meant for dating apps. So you can now message girls or guys, and it'll automatically generate prompts for you, and even based off of the context of the actual messages.
Okay.
Found that super cool. They really wanted to hit the dating market scene with that, and I was like, this is some great technology.
Yeah.
So I started doing some marketing for them, and really got to understand, how tech startups, like they were very organized in terms of their cadence in their meetings and how they structure their documents, and it really gave me some good insight from that. And so that was during the time with Booz Allen, but then I decided to jump ship from Booz Allen, and then I also left Keys for Dating after a few months, and that started my journey at Accenture.
So before we move on from there, you join the startup. What's the comp look like? You getting some equity? You getting paycheck, salary, hourly? Like, what does it look like?
So this was my first time joining a startup, and I did not know how to value myself. I think this is a challenge a lot of people face is how do you value yourself, right? I think that if you don't have prior experience, you can't sort of quantify that.
Sure.
But granted, I worked for large companies. I still didn't know how I can value myself for a tech startup. So I didn't work for any sweat equity. I just did it all for experience. And I think that's really important for everyone to recognize is that, if you come with no experience background, really provide value. Even if you have experience, it's super important to provide value for a month or two for free to the tech startup CEOs so that they see your value. And then you can talk about, okay, how much equity I want in the company, or what's my compensation financially looking like.
Yeah. So what eventually did you?
Zero.
Okay. Wow.
I kept good relationships with Taylor, the CEO of Keys for Dating. But
Yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, you were saying it's tough to value yourself, and sometimes it's like, we'll give you 20,000 shares of our start. Well, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Sure enough, they're 5 million shares and you have 0.002 or something.
Right.
So, okay. All right. So that was more for the experience.
More for the experience. I'm still thankful for it. No bad blood. I think I definitely learned a lot in terms of tech startup wise. And, the guys, the whole team itself, they come from a tech background. So it was very much of a learning experience.
Okay. So that kind of helped you later on, which we'll get to as far as equity and learning how to kind of operate as a startup and Series A. So what is that? Okay, how does that look? How do we get investors? So you learned kind of the basics by working with them.
A little bit of that, but I would say after I left them, I joined Y Combinator Startup School. What's super cool with Y Combinator is that initially they offered a lot of videos and trainings on everything startup, right? What's equity, what's safe notes, what's term sheets, all that VC jargon that everyone should generally know when they're working with a startup.
Yeah.
And so it just gave me a true understanding of that. And even from college, where I would be taking Udemy courses, even till now, like I'm always sort of learning something video-wise. At least once a week. So I think it's always important. And that's sort of where I learned that verbiage, which propelled me to now. Anyone who wants to work with me, or now, luckily, I receive offers and opportunities for people to, hey, you want to be a founding member, or would love for you to be an advisor. And now I know how to value myself more and just understand how I can allocate my bandwidth, because you can provide tremendous value, but I just need to ensure that I have the bandwidth. I don't want to falsely say that I can work for someone and then half-ass it, right? And then vesting cycle and all that fun stuff.
So now with that training, have people approached you for startups, and you start rattling off some things, and they're like, oh, okay, maybe this guy knows his stuff. Maybe, we thought we were going to get him on the cheap.
Not so much as I would thought. I guess it was different since I was younger. Now that I'm a bit older and I have that experience, and they see the lifestyle, they expect that I will be a bit more costly. And like I said, it's all about providing value. All right, any and I mentioned this to any startup that reaches out to me or I reach out to them, I ensure that there's deliverables and milestones per my equity. So. For example, it's all performance-based. And I prefer that for myself and the other person for accountability purposes, right? I do prefer not having a vesting period. I think it's like initial, if I'm starting to work with you, I think it's important that my vesting period starts now.
Right.
And then no cliff specifically. That's like my terms.
Right. And when you go into vesting for people that are not affiliated with startups?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's definitely investing cycles, right? It's if you're working with a startup, you have like a 3-year vest schedule. So your equity is, this is kind of interesting to explain. So let's just say that I receive an offer from a startup and there's a 3-year vest period. That means, let's just say I have 10% equity in a company. It'll take 3 years to completely receive that equity. Right. Now, preference, let's just say that I have a 6-month vesting period. That's amazing, because now within 6 months, I will receive my equity based off of what we've determined. And it's all performance based, so it could be even received in tranches as well if needed.
Okay. Yeah.
Being young and naive, initially starting at I was not aware of this, but as you're maturing and you have opportunities.
Yeah, you learn from those L's. You took an L, but it wasn't really an L, because you learned so much, right?
Yeah, and I think that's super important for people to recognize, is that when you have these opportunities, make the most of it, because even if you don't get paid a single dollar, yes, you think your time was wasted, but make sure like you're learning something. That's the biggest thing. That's like, now I'm taking financial L's, right? Like, I invested in XYZ. For example, Celsius, the actual cryptocurrency exchange. I've been to the Bitcoin conference twice, and I saw their booth. I thought they were very legitimate. And then they went bankruptcy, and I lost all my cash. But that just made me cognizant. Okay, maybe put my tokens on an actual hard wallet, right? So I took L's in terms of my time wasted in the past. Now, as an adult, I'm taking L's with my cash being gone. Or trader's domain and a Forex fund, which, I hate Forex. I don't like the industry, but I had extra cash. Let me throw it into trader's domain, and I lost it all. So
you're going to take an L in crypto everyone. It's a rite of passage. I took one. I had CoinSeed. Do you remember that one?
CoinSeed. That sounds familiar.
It was the first crypto ETF, and concept was great. And so every day we'd take a small amount of money and just rip across whatever, 10, 20 coins. You know, great. Okay, some of them are up, whatever, 100x in 3 months. Oh my God. And then the founder just took all our money and left.
Love it.
So yeah, so that was my L. So yeah.
He's sipping pina coladas. Thanks for Chris.
Yeah, exactly. Wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So where are we now?
So after Booz Allen, I hopped to Accenture. So Accenture is where I'm currently at, but during the beginning of my career at Accenture, so Accenture was the sort of first project manager job that I received. Super cool because, after Booz Allen, when the world was still remote, I hopped over to Accenture on the terms that I'm remote. Now, Accenture's also, I'm working for Accenture Federal Services, so it's a subsidiary and it's for the government contracting side. So unfortunately, I can't work outside of the US, but I can still work remote within the US.
Okay.
And this sort of kicked off my digital nomadic. So this is a lot of fun. I decided, I was like, you know what, I was making good money and still am going to make good money with Accenture. And I decided to leave DC and live month to month in one suitcase in a new city. And then I took a lot of PTO, traveled a lot around East Asia, Europe for a bit as well. Yeah. But it gave me the opportunity to really live out of Airbnbs and live in many different cities. I did a lot of California, Texas, back up to New York, and I did Miami as well, and really got to understand what I like and dislike about the different cities that I'm living in. But the beauty of that was every city that I would go to, and as a super extrovert guy, I would always try to find networking events through Eventbrite, through Facebook groups, meet new friends, through friends, hang out at some of their parties in California, and it just gave me great opportunities to meet interesting people in tech, venture capitalists, angel investors, family office guys. I had access to a big network from just constantly traveling on the road. Yeah. Which I still keep in touch with a lot of these guys today.
So while we're at it, why don't you give people some networking tips? I mean, what are some of your best tips? You go to these events, someone has no experience at them. What do you do?
A lot of different strategies. So first off, I actually learned this coming to Miami is watch and shoes. That's my ultimate strategy.
That's your opener.
And my brother-in-law says this. He says always look out for watch and shoes specifically because that in the room, if you just do a quick scan, you can figure out who has money, and it's unfortunately the truth. But that's a lot of the case in Miami specifically. Yeah, you'll get a lot of these older VC guys that literally have no jewelry and they look out of shape, but they're sitting on a 25 million plus net worth, right? But that's sort of the first strategy, and I would just approach them and be really charismatic. The idea is to be empathetic and charismatic so that you really want to hear their side of things, right? Really learn from them, but then the biggest point is how can you provide value to them? Right. And so I would say, first off, finding the networking events, as I mentioned, Eventbrite, Facebook groups, contacting friends that are in tech. Instagram has a lot of sort of different pages and incubators within each city that you go to. Right.
And the good thing, with the ads, you click on one event, and you're just going to get pounded with every event in the area. And so while the ads can be creepy at sometimes you're like, I want to see more events, so I'm clicking on every event, and now they're going to send me more.
Exactly. Yeah. No, super beneficial there, and I think that's really nice about it. So I would definitely reach out to a lot of networks and really just consistently grow. I think that's the most important thing is trying to figure out where you can provide value, meet these people, who they can introduce you to, and keep up with those connections. That's the really important part.
Yeah. Now, you give out business cards. I mean, personally, with the invention of Instagram, I don't really care about business cards because now when I see a picture of you, I see your name. So the guy you met at a networking event 6 months ago, you're constantly seeing his face with his name again. So when you see him again, you're like, oh, Ted, how you doing? Because you know him.
Absolutely. The strategy that I always recommend to others is when you're at a conference, at any networking event, you find someone, oh shit, this is someone impactful. I definitely want to keep in touch. And I really want to ensure that they remember me, is I'll take their phone number and immediately I'll take a selfie with them.
Yeah.
And I'll send that to them in a picture. And then I'll put my name.
Yep.
And the face to name's amazing. Now, this strategy works generally with older guys who don't have an Instagram.
Yeah.
But my general go-to is Instagram. That's my way of connecting name to face. That's the best way to keep up tabs with someone. Even now, I meet so many people in Miami, and I'll have people texting me with random numbers. I'm like, shit, who's this person, right? But now Instagram, they DM me.
But through
like,
the DM, you're like, who is this? Oh, wait. You see every photo of them over the last 5 years. Like, oh, okay, it's that person.
Exactly, yeah.
So. Okay, so anything else as far as tips for young guys? Add value. Clean up your Instagram too, guys. No beer bongs or anything in the pictures.
Definitely, right? It depends on what sort of startup you're trying to get a job at.
Yeah.
But generally, obviously, you want to have a clean profile. And I would say that clean up your LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn specifically, coming from a background of machine learning AI, their algorithm picks up a lot of keywords. So if your LinkedIn is clean, you have a lot of specific keywords of your industry, whether it be cybersecurity, whether it be data science, any sort of tech industry that you go into, make sure you have the keywords, tools, and softwares you've utilized. I think the biggest important thing people don't recognize is resumes should always have KPIs and a timeline.
Yeah.
So for Deloitte, I assisted 70 plus Navy facilities and improved their processes by 60% within the last 8 months. That's such an impactful statement because it's measured. You really show the value of how much you actually performed for them.
Right.
And it's just valuable, right? They see that. You're more articulate in that way.
And a lot of resumes do not have that. So you have no idea, okay, they worked on the project, they helped manage the project, but what did they actually do? And sometimes, even at a big company, so a person may look great on paper because they have the great industry experience, and then you find out, oh, they only did one little upgrade to the project or something like that.
Yep.
And so that's kind of a great way to stand out with the KPIs and timelines as well.
It is, yeah. And I think that people should definitely be more knowledgeable on the ATS, right? The applicant tracking system. There's a percentage score of what your resume looks like comparative to the job description itself.
Right.
And you need to ensure that there's enough keywords and similarities between your resume and the job description.
Yeah.
There's jobscan.co that really helps you out and understands, okay, what that percentage is. There's a few different tools and softwares that I've used in the past to get jobs.
Okay,
so
let's go into them.
I'm gonna kick it off with Octoply.ai.
Yep.
Shout outs to Chris and my buddy Chris, Tori, and Cyrus. They were the co-founders of it, but it essentially automates the job application process for you, which is really nice. More suitable for PM and developer roles in tech, so that's a good software to use.
Yeah. Just to interrupt, my friend is in tech sales. Finally got him to sign up for Octoply, and within 24 hours he got 20 confirmations. Oh, your application's been received. He's like, this would have taken me like 2 months to fill out all these applications. It was done in 24 hours. So, I have to also endorse Octoply for sure.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job with ensuring that your resume follows the job description with the ATS system, so that similarity score is up there.
Yeah, and nowadays, like people will say, how's my resume? I'm like, well, what job are you applying for? Because right now it's so competitive, you have to be an exact match, basically, to even get a look. So for every job you're applying for, you really have to tweak and take that job description and just move everything around in the resume and make it look as close to that job description as possible. So
definitely. Another tool that I've used is Simplify. So Simplify is a Google Chrome extension that I would definitely advise paying for their Simplify Plus. I think it's like $30 or $40 a month. But what's really nice about Simplify is that it'll break down your resume and each line item will be a bullet point. And what's nice is that you can sort of, when you're on a job application website, you can just click on the Google Chrome extension to autofill, but then you can tailor your resume. So when you click tailor my resume, it'll take your resume, it'll take the job description, and then it'll specifically update some bullet points, adding those keywords automatically.
Yeah.
Within seconds. And then you can click done, and it'll automatically put the updated resume copy, and within seconds you have a more updated resume for the job.
and that's great because what I always tell people, you don't know who's looking at it first, and the gatekeepers may have no technical knowledge. So you're like, I'm just like, listen, be redundant, because the first person that sees it may have no technical knowledge, and you just have to bombard them with keywords.
Yes.
And that's nowadays really the most important thing. So that's great.
Definitely. Another useful tool that I've honestly used is, I would say, virtual assistants, right? So Upwork, Fiverr, finding a virtual assistant that can apply for jobs for you now. You can be a one-man show, or you can have 2 or 3 other virtual assistants that are also applying for you. But the biggest strategy here is ensuring now, with the use of LLMs like ChatGPT, they can curate messages and DM the recruiters for you.
Yeah.
That's really important, because now not only are you applying for the jobs, but at the same time you're looking at the recruiters and really plugging and playing, hey, following up with the recruiters, making sure that they recognize that you applied for the job and can provide you a referral as well.
Yeah, and that's with the rise of automation, AI, and now everyone's using it, which means you have to use it. But now, honestly, someone like me becomes more important, because now I can go around that whole. Now there's a stack of 1,000 people for every job. So if someone can go around that, always get to the recruiter.
Well, so Chris, I have a question for you. So now, with the influx of large language models like ChatGPT, Bard, and Facebook Llama, all these different tools, and people curating messages, there's going to be a saturation of all these resumes that are matching the ATS, and you have all these automated sort of messages coming to recruiters and staffing agencies like yourself. So my question is, with the saturation of all these applications, how are you managing this sort of workload? I mean, I'm sure there's so many more qualified candidates now, but in reality, they're probably not.
Yeah, it's, it used to be, I'd look at a resume, I'd say, could this person do the job? Mm-hmm. And now I say, will this person even get a look? Because the competition is so fierce. You have to have an industry match. You have to have worked for a competitor or worked for that company before. Because I do mainly contractor placements.
Okay.
So for me, it's not like, this guy will come in and we'll teach him the ropes. It's like, no, you got to hit the ground running. Because if I'm paying the guy $100 an hour, they're paying me $150. Mm-hmm. So you start adding that up. It's going to take me 6 weeks to ramp up. Okay, well, now let's start doing the math. Okay, 40 hours a week, $150 an hour. And it's like, okay, now how much have we spent? And this guy has done nothing for us. So really, the competition is fierce right now. And stick within your industry, because it's kind of pointless to kind of go outside of it right now.
I can see that deviating from what you've been doing. I guess it's a tough market for new hires, I would assume, right now, since there's experienced hires like myself versus and now I know that even like PM roles, specifically remote project management, product management roles, are lower in salary now that they were 2 years ago, I'd assume.
Yep. Yeah, because the people like yourself that want to stay remote, so that supply is still pretty high, but there's been a lot of people that, we're going to do hybrid 1-2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week. A lot of the big companies, they own a lot of the commercial real estate debt. Mm-hmm. So they have to kind of set the tone on, hey, get your ass back in the office. Yeah. So now, someone like you, do you lose much by not being in the office? Honestly, no. But they want people like you to be in there, just to at least 3 days a week to set the tone.
So, I saw an interesting article recently where, I forgot the terminology, but people are just scanning in, grabbing a cup of coffee from the office, and going right back to their desk at home.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, I know people that they're forced to go in the office, and now they're paying city wage tax, and now they sit in an empty office and do Zooms for people all around the country. So you're like, why did I get dressed, shower, commute in, and just sit on Zooms that I could do at home? But
now I find that valuable to be in person for startup culture when you have less employees.
Yeah.
Because 100%. You have the dry erase board in front of you, you have a big team sort of in the room together, and you can sort of share ideas. It's definitely a different experience. And I remember I was trying to work on a tech startup. I was trying to be a founder in this space where I was remember I was talking to my buddy John Ayaya, by the way. Shout out to John. He's a VR specialist. He's one of my good friends, and he's really big into the VR, AR, XR space. He does a lot of keynote speeches, and I was in Italy at the time, just digital nomading, and he was in Turkey. And then we had our headsets on. We were just talking about different ways to collaborate. So it's pretty cool because I was sitting in a coffee shop. I had my headset on. Luckily, there was no one in the coffee shop, so I looked like a freak.
Yeah.
But I had my multiple screens up, and I was just on a dry erase board collaborating with him. And he was on a boat in Istanbul, and he was just hanging out. But he also had a headset on, and we can see our avatars, and we're just collaborating on a dry erase board with our multiple monitors.
Yeah.
So I think, in terms of remote culture, I think that's a great way to have that same feeling of everyone in the same room together, especially with the new Apple Vision Pro headset that's coming out soon, right?
Yeah.
That's going to ensure that we can have that work from office vibes at home.
Yeah. Have you played around with it yet?
Not yet, no.
On it yet?
Apple has been really selective of who gets to play around with that. It's been a lot of...
the reviews seem pretty impressive so far that I've seen.
They do.
Yeah.
I'm very, I have an Oculus, and I think this would segue really well into the next conversation with a startup that I worked with. But I'm really intrigued with the Vision Pro's eye tracking. The fact that they can eye track and see which applications that I'm looking at and really focus and hone in and click on a specific app.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
KBHD did a really good review on that.
Yeah. I was watching that yesterday, actually.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah. So, okay, well, let's get into it.
While I'm at Accenture, I guess a little bit background of what I'm doing at Accenture. I can't talk about too much of my client, but as a government contractor with Accenture, I'm working with the Department of Treasury, and I am a project manager where I'm creating a data dashboard. And I hired a team of developers that are doing a kick-ass job, and essentially, we have a bi-weekly cadence to speak with the client specifically. And what's nice is that we have enough funding and the tools and technologies to really create an impactful data dashboard for them. And so some really cool, impactful sort of machine learning AI features that we're incorporating. That's my day job, right? So my day-to-day, hopping on calls and being a project manager there. But during the start of my Accenture career, I decided to move to Miami.
Yeah.
I had, after my digital nomading journey, I moved to Miami because I found that this city was very vibrant in terms of extroverts. It's transactional in a good way. And this is why I say good way, is because everyone in Miami has this transactional feel of being friends for a reason. You can assist each other in business, assist each other with getting girls, assist each other in making money or meeting new people or partying together. There's always a reason for it. And I feel like everyone in Miami is just very much more happier than any other city. As a New Yorker, we're all assholes, but we're straight to the point.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of New Yorkers that move to Miami and have that sternness to them, but at the same time they're super extrovert.
Yeah.
And so I moved to Miami, and then I attended a bunch of networking events. One of the networking events that I frequently attended when I first moved out here was every Wednesday at Freehold.
Yeah.
Chris Adamo and my friend Adam Gar as well that I met there have thrown a bunch of networking events. And then I met Alex Ozzie, who's the CEO and founder of VR Workout. So super cool application.
Now, what is that exactly?
So Alex Ozzie and Akiki Rashid, both co-founders, and essentially it's just as it sounds, right? VR Workout, you put your headset on, and it's an interactive game where you're doing exercises. Caught my attention. I like the VR, AR, XR space. I do think the future of our reality is going to be with augmented glasses. Ray-Ban and Meta are setting that precedent right now, but the computing power isn't there. But what's nice is that they already received funding. They already have a kick-ass product now, and they had over 200,000 users. Now it's just getting sort of to the masses. And
so it's at home?
It's at home, yeah.
Okay. I was thinking it was in the studio.
Nope, you can have your Oculus Quest. It's an app on the Oculus Quest store, and you can just get right into it. And I thought it was super cool. I was helping them on the growth strategy side of things.
And you met them at the Freehold event?
I met Alex Ozzie at the Freehold event, yes.
Yeah. For anyone in Miami, it's free booze, free food.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday. So I highly recommend it too. I've been to a bunch of them.
Been to a bunch of them, and what's nice is that you just shake hands. What do you do for a living? Hop in any conversation with anyone, and a lot of people don't know. I mean, if you go frequently, you'll start seeing familiar faces. But if you don't know anyone, you can just hop in any conversation.
Yeah.
That's the best strategy. Also, like if you're a newbie to these events and you see like a group of people talking, my strategy is, I don't mean to interrupt the conversation, but would love to join. Is that cool with you all? They're like, yeah, of course. Like, all right, continue the conversation.
Yeah.
And then after they talk, you introduce yourself, and then really get to know what people do for a living, and then how you can provide value, right? That's very essential.
Yeah, and you're so spot on with the watch and the shoes. I use the suit.
Nice.
You just roll up to these events in a suit, and people are like, because in Miami, a lot of these like cool guy events, everyone's in the same branded T-shirt and hat, and then and it's like they spend $1,000 on their T-shirt and hat, and they all look the exact same.
Yeah.
And then so I just roll up in a suit. Everyone's like, oh, damn, babe, nice suit. Where'd you get it? So people are just coming up to you, like, because you look totally different than everyone else at the event. So
That's fair, yeah. You look like a VC.
Yeah, right. Who is this guy? Where's his T-shirt and hat? Damn.
Exactly. No, but it was interesting working with BR Workout. I helped him out with some growth. I made some cool introductions with some angel investors.
Wow.
And, I definitely learned a lot working with them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was also another play for some equity. And I had really, shout outs to Akiki Rashid, he lives in Miami here. He's a genius with Notion, and he's also a genius with Airtable.
Okay.
So I think Airtable, automation side of things, and then you have Notion, the actual sort of back-end portal of your company infrastructure, right? You can see where the operations are building out, you can see all the product, you can see all the documentation for a company, and it's a really good way to sort of have the brain of your company on Notion for the back end. It's not a paid sponsor by Notion, but I thoroughly enjoy the UI, UX of it, and all the different sort of functionalities that Notion has to offer.
Yeah, they can sponsor if they want, by the way.
Yeah, no, shout outs to the LLM features. I like the. But that's also sort of what I learned a lot, how to really structure a company. Had a good time working with them.
Done with them, or?
I'm done with them, yeah. No bad blood. I just, I figured it's very tough raising capital for a startup that requires hardware, someone to be there.
Sure.
I had angel investors coming into my apartment in Brickell, Miami, and they're doing like exercises in my living room, and I'm like, shit, is this guy going to invest? I don't know, but it's it's not like a traditional startup because you can't pitch them virtually. Like, I have to have them try the product.
Yeah, you can't do a Zoom.
Yeah, like
you have to actually put it on them, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so you've been all over. You're here in Miami. Let's talk about Tabler. That's what everyone's talking about in this town. So let's go into it. How did you get connected there? Let's go into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was on a networking event on a yacht, and I had met Alan Efferall, who's the founder and CEO of Tabler. Got connected with him, and I initially was astonished. I was like, hey, you created such a successful app, but it was lacking a UI UX, and there was a lot of bugs. And we've all heard about Tabler. It's been mentioned a lot, and there's a lot of users in Miami.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, I can come in and really bring in a lot of value here, right?
Yeah.
And I keep reiterating values because, I wanted to show him that, hey, look, I'm not going to ask for anything. I'm not going to ask for equity. I'm not going to ask for compensation on any part. I just want to show you what I can do for you. So I initially came in, I was like, hey, look, you need to implement all these tech functionalities. You need to hire these specific people. We should consider our capital raising strategy. There's so much into it, and we should also make our app proprietary so that no one can come in and steal our ideas, right? And so what I did with Alan is he's actually a genius. If you get to know him, he's very much like the Steve Jobs, a visionary, and he sort of really complements my skill set very well. So I met Alan, and I brought him to a few different tech networking events. He's from Slovenia, so he does have some language barrier when communicating with people. But nonetheless, I introduced him to a lot of great people, and he saw my value immediately. When I brought him to Hard Rock, I brought him to a deal night event. And
Oh yeah, that's where we first met.
that is where we
That deal
first
night.
met.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So at the Hard Rock Casino, he went up on stage, and he had no idea who was going on stage. So Brock, who hosted that event, had a few tech startups already lined up, and they were presenting. But then I walked up to Brock. I was like, "Hey, what's the chances this founder CEO of Tabler? What's the chances you can get him on stage?" And Brock was like, "You have 30 seconds now." And I was like, I walked down and I'm like, "Dude, there's a ton of investors here. You're about to pitch Tabler." He's like, "What? No way."
Yeah.
And then he went for it. And I think that's where he was like, "Okay, this guy is quite interesting."
Yeah.
So immediately, I was trying to I introduced Alan to a bunch of people, a friend of mine in Venetian Islands, where we were at my friend's house in Venetian Islands on Delito Island, and gorgeous $18 million property, right? Wow. So Alan's standing here, he's like, "This is pretty cool, this is nice." Spoke with the homeowner, and Alan was like, "Hey, how about we throw this party on our app on Tabler?" Homeowner's like, "You won't even be able to get 10 girls through the app to come." Within 3 hours, there was a 75-foot yacht pulling from the back with at least 40 girls hopping off, and the homeowner was like, "Holy shit, I did not prepare to have this big of a party tonight." And then there were more people coming from the front door, all through the app, and I was like, "Fuck yes, this is amazing." So that's at that point, from all the network that I have established in Miami to sort of the actual people that Alan had met, he was like, "Okay, I could definitely see value in this guy." So I came on, and I was really trying to woo Alan, right? So I brought him to the gym with me. I was trying to make him see sort of all the functionalities and everything that I can implement. So Tabler's a fun app, I guess, to do a quick intro of
Give
Tabler.
us a little overview of.
Yeah, so Tabler is an app where guys or girls can split the costs of a table at a nightclub, a villa party, a yacht party, and then they can accept or decline guests that request to join them.
Yeah, and we've always been at a table, and that one person at the bill comes and says, "Well, I was getting my drinks at the bar." So
yes,
this app is the worst nightmare for that drinks at the bar guy.
It is. They're held accountable, right?
Yes. Yeah, you pay up front, right?
That's right. And the beauty of this is that there's a social media and there's a dating element part of it as well. But I want to mention that, tables at nightclubs are a premium cost for everyone at the moment. And we're trying to democratize that VIP experience for the general public. So now I'm standing on an hour line to get into a venue and realize, oh wait, there's a way where I can find random guys on the line or girls to split the cost of a table with and have that VIP experience. Now I get to cut the line and have that experience, and then the venue also gets a sale from a table.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win experience.
So who are the biggest customers people already in Miami? Is it people visit? Obviously, tons of bachelor parties, guys trips, girls trips, whatever. Who are the biggest customers that you guys have?
So the app's launched, and originally it was meant for the general public. Now a lot of promoters started using the app, and they've been utilizing the app. They've been getting a lot of females to use the app, and 70% of our user base are females.
Wow.
Naturally, I could see that because generally in a city like Miami and many others, guys generally don't charge females to join their yacht, villa, or table. Girls generally have.
They could try, but
they could
might
try.
not be too successful.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition with dudes that want to pay for everything, right?
Right.
And so it ended up being a lot of promoters and females that are using the app. But I definitely want to mention that it was a blessing in disguise because the promoters actually brought down our user acquisition costs. So our current user acquisition cost is about $3 per user. And that's a very low value for any app, if you want to know out there. So the way that we've done this was, hey, look, you're a promoter, you're already in Miami, you're using the app. And what's nice is that if you're surrounding yourself with a bunch of females. So why not just have the females use our app, and we'll give you $3 per user download. Now what's nice is from the promoter's perspective, he can have another revenue stream come in aside from the nightclub paying them.
Yeah.
And then secondly, you can have the ability to invite previous guests from all the other events that you've already hosted.
Okay.
So instead of messaging, your guy and girlfriends through WhatsApp, through Instagram, iMessage, now you have a centralized place within one app to just message them directly through the platform.
Okay. So the promoters are pretty much they're like your biggest, I don't want to say customer, but like they're driving
most of it. Now, we're definitely going to sort of expand. Currently, we are working with SXM Festival in March. We're going to be working with our first festival. This is in St. Martin's. And so they reached out to us. They would love to do some sort of collaboration. And we thought of a great idea right now. At a festival, you have a GA line, a general admission line of, so many people getting in. And we figured we would place our Tabler marketing assets all around such that people would see that, oh, now I have the ability to split a table. Hey, buddy, let's just do it. It's just two of us. Let's find random guys. And the beauty of this app is that everyone's social media links are connected to their profile. So you can do your due diligence, see if this person's cool or not, and then you can go from there and accept them. And
for people you don't know, they're paying ahead of time also, correct?
They're paying ahead of time, correct.
Okay, so you're not going to get stiffed by some strangers you don't know.
Exactly. Right. Yep. Everything, and there's an escrow. There's a KYC process. There's an escrow. So 24 hours after the event, the money is dispersed, just to ensure that no one is fraudulent or the actual night goes well. But that's sort of the current phase of the app. Phase 2, we're going to introduce a few different APIs: Open Table, 7 rooms, table lists, such that users can book their restaurant table or nightclub table directly within the app, and then they can go ahead and split the costs. And what's really nice about this is that once you're working with an API like this, let's say, Chris, you're in the bathroom and someone just orders a fuck ton of alcohol on your tab, right?
Yeah.
This happens frequently.
Sure. Right.
So you're now in the bathroom, and now you'll receive a push notification that you received a new bottle on your tab, and now you can accept or decline that request.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, because that's a big problem for some of these nightclubs where, some girl comes in and, we're good. And suddenly you're looking at the bill at the end. Well, what? What happened here?
Absolutely. And it's such a win for the venues. Let me tell you why. Because we have a KYC process. So anyone who's about to spend money in the app, you take a picture with your driver's license. And what this ensures is chargebacks. So now the venues don't have to worry about receiving a chargeback from the night before, which is very big in the nightlife space, if anyone understands.
Right.
You're coming back, checking that bill, you're like, yeah, $6,000, I'm gonna charge back tomorrow. No, that's not gonna happen now, because you've validated it with the KYC process, and Tabler is sort of the escrow to ensure that the venue will receive their funds.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an amazing idea just with the splitting of the tables, and then now I see the mansion parties. It feels like it's almost like every week you're throwing them. So how did that, we kind of went into how that came about. I mean, how's that going? I mean, it can be.
It's nice. I believe that, everyone sees the power of Tabler. What's nice is that there's a lot of people that have been constantly hitting us up. Hey, would love for you to throw a party at my place. So now we're getting a huge demand of people that would love to have a party at their mansion, their penthouse, and their yachts. I was just on a call with a woman last night who has a two-floor boat, and she has 150 people coming. She's like, hey, I have a client who's paying for the boat. They just need a bunch of people to come join. And I'm like, say no more.
Yeah.
Now, what's amazing is that we've established our network so well. We have a great security team. We have bartenders with a liquor license. We have entertainment. At our New Year's party, we had 3 lemurs, those little primates from Madagascar. We have fire dancers in our network.
Yeah.
So we have alcohol sponsors, we have videographers, photographers. I can go down the line, but what's nice is that, Chris, let's just say you have a mansion in Venetian Islands or wherever. Hey, Ali, would love for you guys to throw a party. Say no more. And we would immediately bring all of our value to you, including the expensive DJ, mixers, lights, audio, all that fun stuff. And what's nice is that before someone joins an event, they accept and agree with the terms and conditions, which is also a disclaimer to ensure that liability is held on that party side.
Wow. Okay. So you break some guys, whatever, $50,000 vase or something.
Exactly. Or you get hurt and then you want to sue them. Well, you're responsible for being intoxicated in that situation, right?
Wow. Okay. So you said restaurant tables are next. I mean, like, what's the next phase? I mean, you have the users on there, so now it's just kind of.
So phase 1 of the app was user acquisition, right? And we're using similar strategies like Airbnb and dating apps such as Bumble, Hinge, Tinder. So you can think of Airbnb as couch sharing. You can think of Tabler as table sharing. And now user acquisition phase one. Phase two is monetization strategies. How can we make money off of these users and ensure that the retention is still met, right? We want to keep that stickiness rate for our app. So now we're releasing features such as Boost My Table. And what's nice is that Boost My Table, actually tonight, Alan was just texting me and he was saying, Ali, we have 5 Boost My Tables. And what that means is that within the events feed of the app, the first 5 slots people have paid for to ensure that their table is displayed to receive more user engagement.
Oh, wow.
And so you can pay for a 12-hour or 24-hour boost, and now you can have the ability to just receive more user engagement, and that's the beauty of it. So that's one feature. Another feature is ghost mode. Let's just say that, you know, I'm hosting a party, and you know, Chris, you want to join, but you don't want everyone to see that you're attending that party, whether you're a big celebrity or you know, you want to attend an event that others just don't. You just don't want others to see.
Yeah.
There's a ghost mode feature where only the host can see you, but the attendees can't see that you're attending that event.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just say one of your parties, I'm thinking about going. You click on the part. Now, besides the people that have chosen ghost mode, you can kind of see like, oh, that girl looks cute. That's good. Okay. Yeah. You can kind of see who's coming to the party too, right?
That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
From the host side of things, you can control the crowd by accepting or declining all the people that request to join you. And then from the guest side, you can see all the people with their social media links to really check out the crowd and see if it's worth going to that table, yacht, restaurant.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. So, so where do you see this thing? Is it going to be eventually a full-time job for you? Do you see you leaving the project management space ever? Or what do you think?
That's the goal, right? So as a guy who's worked corporate his entire life, I've always had some sort of side hustles, right?
Sure.
I came on to Tabler as originally a chief technology officer, and my background being in data science, machine learning. I immediately recognized that operations was what was needed in the time being right now. So immediately I sort of had a title change into chief operations officer at Tabler. I hired a bunch of people, immediately started making sure that everyone has deliverables. You know, we're working on X, Y, Z, what was definitely the competing priorities, right? That's what was very essential.
Yeah.
And so we're at a phase right now where, you know, I brought on Matt Kirshner, who's our head of partnerships. He's very good with people, relationships, and sales. That's his background. And then, you know, we have a few videographers. We have someone running another partnerships program. So there's a lot of sort of different players in the game that I'm glad that we have a good team now. Now we are on a phase of raising capital. So we're looking to raise our Series A of $4.5 million right now.
Wow.
And once we receive this funding, you know, we have an MVP. We have a really nice minimal viable product with, you know, we've validated a product market fit with over 25,000 monthly active users on our application.
Wow.
And we're at a phase where let's just get some more funding, market it a bit more so that we can sort of introduce ways how we can monetize the app.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's the ideal goal is, you know, being full-time with Tabler. I think it's a really fun job sort of when you have the ability to travel to different venues, attend festivals, have that Tabler experience. And really, I think what's beautiful is the meaningful connections you make, right? I'll give you an example. One of our investors, we raised a $500,000 seed raise. And one of our investors, Dr. Chris Zino, who is a chiropractor based out of Texas, he was joining a table in Tulum for a few $1,000s. And he joined that table. He met someone at that table who made him $250,000 in his business.
Wow.
He immediately invested into Tabler. He was like, it's not about the party and the hot girls I was around. It's about the people.
Right.
The fact that someone was also willing to split that much money at a nightclub table was...
Someone you should know.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, so where are we going from here? I mean, you have the day job, Tabler, off hours at night, maybe eventually transition to that. You know, what else you got going on right now?
Tabler's been my main focus, raising capital at the moment, you know, building some really good relationships, have a few different prospects in terms of investors that have been shown a lot of interest. So really spearheading sort of these investor calls, meeting a lot of great people and setting up these events. I've also been focusing on a few of my different investments that I've had in place. So I definitely have to thank my dad who went from, you know, being an immigrant guy within the United States, working his ass off for multiple jobs to feed his family and kids. He showed me how to do real estate. And so In college, I invested some of my money with a bit of his money into a property. He showed me how to buy a property and how to sell a property really early. So that led me to my first investment, my second investment into a home in Texas. So Houston, Texas, my family moved out there. And then I figured, that's kind of a good market to invest in. So a few years back, I invested in a property. And what was really nice about this was it gave me the opportunity to really understand the market, right? I had to put down my 20% down payment to ensure that I don't get hit with a private mortgage insurance, which is a small fee that doesn't go into your mortgage.
Right.
But it showed me that I can sort of constantly invest, have some sort of passive income. Now, I think what people need to realize is that real estate wasn't as sexy as it was a few years back.
Right.
You're thinking about cash flow, but now we're at a time where you need to put down at least like 20% or even more at a property. So either break even on your monthly mortgage payments or like make a little bit more. So I'll give you some numbers. I just invested in another property about 3 months ago, brand new build in Houston, Texas, in an area called Rosenberg. It's still a well-developing area. I looked at the comps in the area. I saw the demand of how many people are moving there. So I was like, ooh, this is an excellent sort of location in terms of investing. So brand new build property, $260,000. I put down 20%. And my monthly payments on that property are around $1,900. I secured a 6% loan on that property. And what's nice is that now I'm breaking even, I'm making $200 a month. The person who's renting it pays me $2,100 a month.
Yeah.
Brand new property, right? So I'm going to have no issues with the home.
Yeah.
It has a 3-year home warranty. So I can essentially exit and sell that property after 3 years. But what's nice is that from the down payment and from them building the new property, within 8 months of that property being built, I already had appreciation of $30,000.
Wow.
So easy play there, but that's just like a low risk, low return investment.
And how much time is the real estate investing taking out of your week, we'll say?
Not much. I would say less than an hour.
Less than an hour a week.
Less than an hour, yeah. Okay. Right now I have 3 properties in Texas.
Yeah.
I also invest in private equity. So one of my, I'm actually wiring out the transaction this week. Interesting project here is Bleecker Partners. So what's nice with Bleecker Partners is that they provide a data dashboard for all their limited partners in this private equity fund.
Okay.
It's investing into a commercial property out in Dallas, Fort Worth area. It's a 700,000 square foot storage facility. And they're
that's where the money
promising,
is.
yeah, that's where the money is. They already have a lease signed for the tenants, and they're planning a 5 to 6 year exit. So, all the limited partners invested. I think GP wise, like the general partners are pretty well knowledgeable Wall Street guys, and so you're really banking on the people, the general partners doing their job well. And I want to give so for those that really want to get to know any industry, very much leverage ChatGPT. Let me tell you why. Because I'm a tech guy, you're a tech guy. I have limited insight to real estate private equity. Right. When someone sends me a P&L, a profit and loss statement, and they send me a 20-page slide deck, and I have to review this and understand, holy shit, okay, I'm going to put in $100,000. Like, what does this mean to me? I literally feed a bunch of these sort of slide deck and projections into ChatGPT, GPT-4 specifically, attach it, and then I just start questioning. I'm like, okay, what is this deal? How much is it projected? Is this a good investment comparative to industry standards?
Yeah.
This really just makes me more insightful. And then I ask, what are the risks associated? How can the general partner of this private equity firm mitigate these risks? Formulate some questions for me. So the second that I hop on an investor call with them, I ask them all these questions, and I don't know shit about private equity, but here I am, I'm asking them, and they're like, holy shit, like these are quite the questions.
Knows stuff.
Exactly. And it just makes you more knowledgeable, obviously helps you out, but I use ChatGPT in all aspects of my life, including my second brain, including my health and fitness as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into that. I know you're looking at making some investments into the biohacking space, which you're big in. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually, with Tabler, I have a friend of mine who I met, Joe, who is the owner of Vio Med Spa. Joe is a biohacker to the extreme, and I love this guy because he's successfully opened up a massive franchise of Vio Med Spas all across the country. He's kicked ass, and he was like, I reached out to him. I was like, hey, look, let's do a collaborative event. 70% of our user base on Tabler are females. Would love to see if you can give 15 people free Botox up to 30 units each, and would love to do a collaborative event. And he's like, absolutely, let's do it. And you can always upsell those people when they come in, right? They realize they want fillers, they want other things done as well. So it was a win-win situation, and it really got me intrigued. I was like, wow, I really like the aesthetic space. I think there's a lot of money into this, especially living in Miami where you have people that are 80% silicone.
Yes.
So I think there's definitely a big sort of future in longevity, right? Whether you're talking about peptides, whether you're talking about Botox for preventative wrinkles, or different ways of TRT clinic or growth hormone clinics, right? That's sort of the next sexy industry that I want to invest in.
So what are some of your best biohacks personally right now?
So personally, not wearing the Whoop band right now, but
same.
I love my Whoop band. I like to track my REM sleep cycles. I like to track my cardiovascular, my strength training, which is really nice. I recently purchased a cold plunge, which I've been actively doing. I think trying to really eliminate my light exposure at night by reading my book. Currently reading Tools of Titan by Tim Ferriss. And so I'm really trying to find out different ways to improve my health, right? I'm trying to get more into peptides now. I think living in Miami, you find so many biohackers, especially people in their 20s, late 20s that are already on TRT. And nothing against testosterone replacement therapy, but I think that people who already have a high level of testosterone that are already taking it, they want to elevate themselves. Nothing wrong with that. I personally would rather wait later on in my life when I have low testosterone to start hopping on supplements and anabolics.
I think if you do the correct things, because I'm 39 now, I still have, my T levels are 850 last time I checked, which is pretty good. No TRT, a lot of meat, take some supplements. So I think, and strength train every day. So if you give your body a reason to produce the testosterone, because you're lifting heavy things, and say, okay, well, he needs testosterone. If you're sitting around, it's kind of like, he's good.
Definitely. There's organic ways too, right? I just, from Momentous, there's these pills. None of this is sponsored, by the way. I just purchased Tonkat Ali and Fedocia agrestis. They're these two herbs found in Southeast Asia. A very natural way to increase your testosterone and increase your libido as well. So my plan is to take my blood work beforehand, understand what my testosterone levels are, just overall my health, and then from there cycle on for 30 days, figure out if it actually increases my testosterone naturally, right? That's sort of, I'm a big fan of supplementing for a month or two and then
and
cycling.
Seeing what the results,
right.
I think that's the most important part, and doing it individually, because I've had times where I've added 5 new things and I'm like, okay, well, the results went up, but I don't know what actually did it. I mean, 4 of them may have been useless. So one thing that I will say is, I was in a building with a sauna, and I was doing it every day. Because you read sauna, oh, it's so good. And then my prolactin went up. If you look at the effects of high prolactin in men, not good. Immediately stop the sauna. Because it's man tits, it's like everything you don't want, prolactin does.
Increases estrogen?
Yeah, it's kind of in that estrogen family.
I see.
So yeah, I would say be careful of that sauna. They actually say you can get around it by putting an ice pack on your balls in the sauna. I'm like, okay, in my building, okay, that's great, but in my building sauna, I might come off a little weird in the public sauna. But actually, that's another biohack for testosterone is, as weird as it sounds, actually icing your balls.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Is that so?
Yeah, because basically the rebound effect of blood flow is what can, so you do that a couple times a day. Actually, guys coming off gear, which is steroids, guys coming off gear will ice their testicles 3 times a day, and then boom, their natural production can start back up. So
That's the best way to PCT, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Freezing your balls off.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's a little odd, but and some people are just like, I'm just not doing that. I don't care. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Right.
Yeah. So, but no, I want to see how those, I feel like the supplements have just if everything else is dialed in, they can make a nice impact, but some people don't dial things in and then try to, I'll just get on Tangat Ali, and it's like, it's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you need to be able to ensure that you're also keeping up with all the other sort of factors that increase testosterone gain, right?
Yeah.
I want to look up one person real quick. Give me here in a second. I want to mention his name. Brian Johnson. What are your thoughts on Brian Johnson? Have you heard of him?
Yes. Yeah. He's trying to age backwards.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
He's
I
a tech
feel-
entrepreneur. That's his background.
Yeah, and he's spending millions to have a biological
That's
age
blueprint.
of 18 or something. But if I look at a guy and I don't like how he looks, then I don't really care what the readings say, and I don't think he looks very good. So
He does have this pale skin color to him,
Yeah.
like he hasn't seen the sun.
yeah,
But I think I watch his YouTube videos, and I'm always intrigued of the different ways he's biohacking himself. He has this
Yeah.
whole team that is conducting all these different sort of experiment on him, and I've looked at his blueprint in terms of what he's eating, all the supplements he's taking, and it's super interesting. Now, he provided it all for free, and I was looking into this just last night, and like, okay, maybe I can take a few of these supplements. Definitely want to get my blood work done and consult with a physician first.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there's a lot of interesting things. Now, one of the most interesting sort of things I found was that he's doing blood transfusions with his son.
wow, he is a blood boy, huh?
Well, yeah, that is
Yeah,
very
well,
unique.
I mean, from all whatever rat data, they would put
Yes.
in the young blood into the old rats, and they would have energy. Then they would put the old blood into the young rats, and they would be lethargic. So there is something there. The question is like, what is it? Like, why is young blood better?
I believe it was growth hormone. Don't quote me on it, but
Okay, yeah.
It produces more growth hormone. But it's really interesting. I mean, I think there's this whole talk about a lot of these VCs from Silicon Valley who are just fuck you money rich, and they're just doing the full ultimate biohacking protocol to
Sure.
ensure longevity, and that's blood transfusions are one of them, right? So
Yeah.
I always find that interesting.
Yeah, that was big for a while. Then they kind of stopped talking about that. I don't know if it actually went away or they just kind of said, this isn't a good look, guys.
Yeah. Well, something that I'm really big into is PRP.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've done PRP for my hair a few times.
Yeah.
And I've done a PRP microneedling hydrofacial.
Oh, okay.
And I'm always a fan of looking good, feeling good.
Yeah.
And so I had my friend. She took me to this med spa, and it was a whole process. But
It's called like a vampire facial, right?
it's called like a vampire facial. Yeah.
Okay, so they basically take the blood out, they put it in the centrifuge. and then do the microneedling to put your own blood back in. That's
Yeah.
energized.
Exactly. You have it spot on.
Okay.
Drawing your blood,
Wow.
centrifuge, and then they have like this little machine. It's just like constantly putting
Yeah.
mini needles, but it's honestly painless. And
Yeah.
there was a glow to my face immediately right after. And they actually provide you some of the plasma that they didn't use so that you can reapply it to your face within the next few days. And I immediately saw clarity in my
And
face.
your face was back to normal.
Yes,
Wow.
it was
Okay.
it was pretty cool. Not that I had severe acne, but
Yeah.
it's always great to see ways that you can improve. And this
Yeah.
was a very, very cheap price compared to normal Miami prices. This was
Yeah.
up in Boca.
So one thing I definitely wanted to ask you about with the nightlife and the biohacking, what do you do? Do you not drink sometimes? Do you keep it to 2 drinks? Because you see with the Whoop, 2 drinks and your sleep goes off a cliff.
Absolutely.
So what do you do?
So generally, I don't drink much. I never felt like, in college it was a different story. I was a frat boy. I partied a lot, and I just, I work in nightlife, but I don't drink much, and I'm glad that I have the Whoop, because you're right. When you drink alcohol, you realize the next morning your recovery is absolutely terrible, and it's nice to be able to go out, maybe have a drink or two. And I just want to mention, working with Tabler is amazing. And now I have access to all the guest lists that I want in Miami. I have access to all the tables at any nightclub. I just thoroughly don't enjoy partying as much at these venues because I love to talk. And at a nightclub, I'm screaming in someone's ear. It's just not my go-to choice. Right. So luckily, I'm more social in environments such as house parties or yacht parties, where it's more enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay. So what are we talking? 2 drinks max? Or?
Yeah, I would probably say that. So.
Yeah.
If at most. Sometimes I don't even drink at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you get down to 2 drinks, and then you're just like, all right, now what's real? Okay, I'm out. I'm having fun. I'm not like uncomfortable. What's the point of even doing any?
Definitely.
So
microdosing mushrooms is a huge trend right now that's occurring a lot, right? I mean, it's been trending for quite some time now, but in Miami, it's definitely increased a lot, and it's definitely an alternative people will take to drinking in terms of a night out, increasing your dopamine, and having that fun time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So do you have any closing thoughts? This obviously is probably going to be targeted to young people looking to level up their life, whether through tech or other means. Give us your final stamp.
In this day and age, with a lot of competition, saturated markets, there's a lot of interesting AI tools and softwares that are being released. I would go on TikTok, I would go on YouTube, and search the most relevant tools and technologies to automate your work. The beauty of these tools like Octoply, JobScan, Simplify, all these tools and softwares that I mentioned is that you can apply for jobs and outreach to recruiters instantly versus manually doing it yourself. Yeah. That's the first part, automating your workload. Hiring virtual assistants, right? You have to do a bunch of trial and errors. I would also say attend networking events, really reach out to people, try to see how you can provide value for free first before requesting any sort of compensation from anyone, and be charismatic. That's sort of the blueprint to really building success, right? It's not about money initially, it's about experience first. The money will come. Yeah,
yeah, and deal with a good recruiter like me.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, guys, thanks again for joining us today. Please like and subscribe. We have some great guests lined up I think you're going to really like.